Okay, hello. I think this is working. This is actually my first time doing a Facebook Live, so I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Is there anyone out there who can hear me right now? Let me see if your comments will maybe appear. Just want to make sure that this is working here. Let's see. Okay. Hopefully that is working. Good. Okay. Hi. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So, welcome everyone. My name is Noe Venable. I'm a student in the Elite program, and I'm here today to talk to you about building a recession-proof business as an independent musician, and about standing in your power, and about leveraging these incredible tools that we have that we're learning from Leah and from our participation in these programs. I take off my headphones because they're a little bit distracting to me, so that will be a little better. Okay, so welcome. The first thing that I wanted to do is just ask everyone if you would share in the comments your name and your genre and micro niche and where in the world you're calling from. I won't be able to look at these comments while I'm talking, but at least you'll be able to hear from each other and see where people are calling in from. And if you'd like to also just add maybe a sentence about how you're feeling right now in this incredible moment that we find ourselves in, that would give us a chance to get to know each other a little bit. So Leah asked me to come here today and to share with you a little about my story and what has happened to me over the last week in response to the things that are going on with coronavirus in our world, because what's happened in my life has been a great example of how incredible it can be to be an online musician in this time. I want to say to all of you that you are already just, by just even beginning to explore the online space as a place to build a sustainable music career, I mean, you're in the right place. This is an incredible time. And while it's so heartbreaking what's going on with coronavirus, and my heart just goes out to everyone who is most deeply affected by this situation right now, we are in a really good position as online musicians to be able to do some good in this time, to be able to bring some light and some love and some care to our listeners and to people everywhere that we care about, and also to continue to have a sustainable business through this time. So here's what happened to me. I have been doing Savvy Musician stuff for about a year and a half. I started with the Online Musician, and then about 8 months ago, I invested in the Elite course, which has been totally awesome. It's been about, let's see, even though it's been maybe 8 months I've been working on the Elite course, I'm still only about 60% through all the material. There's so much material there. So I'm still in the process of getting my, Superfan system up and running. I have two music brands. One of them is my singer-songwriter brand. I'm a serial folk singer-songwriter from San Francisco. I play harp and a lot of other instruments. And my other music brand is a children's music brand. And for that one, I do parent-child classes that are of my own design, and they're all about fairies and magic, and it's sort of the child version of my adult music. So here's what happened to me. Up until a week ago, most of my living, and I have two children, so I'm a major earner for my family. My financial support of my family is really, really needed. And all of the things that were really bringing in the most money for me were all in person. And so I was in the situation that I know many people find themselves in right now, where suddenly your entire income just vanishes like that. Fortunately, someone asked me a very fortuitous question. One of the families, actually a number of families who had been enrolled in my in-person offerings out here, said to me, "Hey, have you ever thought of doing an online class?" And honestly, I first said no, because I just thought, how could I possibly bring the magic of that in-person experience to online? But I decided to just experiment with it and give it a little try. Um, I started it on Monday, and I quickly found that yes, I could actually create a really special experience, even in the online space, that actually I could use some of the things that are unusual about Zoom, like the potential to be one-on-one, in breakout rooms, looking at right at another person, such as the potential to mute everyone while I was while I was singing, which actually can sometimes be a little bit helpful when you're working with many, many toddlers. There are a lot of things, I still love in person better, but it turned out that I could do something really cool with this format. So last Monday, I started my in-person, my online version of the class. I figured out a format that was going to work, and it was like it totally took off. Like the first class, I had maybe 40 families enrolled, compared with my in-person classes where usually I have between 6 and 12. 40 for the first one. The second class I did 2 days later, like 60 at that one. The next class, 70. It was just growing and growing and growing. And it was incredible. It was like more viable than it had ever been when I had done it in person. But the best thing was that I got to be serving in a really loving way these families that I have come to so care about, and to give them something that they were dearly needing in this time, which is a little bit of structure to their day, something to do with their children, while children are home from school, and also just to really hold a space of hope and love and the uplift that comes with singing together. Um, so, what I want to share with you, though, is kind of about why I was able to do this and how this was able to happen, because it was 100% a result of me leveraging skills that I have learned from this program. And the reason that I'm sharing this is not to, just like be like a promotion for the program, although I will speak really highly of it because it's been really great. What I really want to convey to you is the skills can be learned. They're learned incrementally. And as you learn them, and the extent to which you learn them and apply them to your own situation, they have the potential to completely change your whole paradigm. And here's what I mean. Here's specifically how that happened for me. Well, when I faced this challenge of, oh my gosh, okay, bring the offering online, how would I even do that? Well, I had to learn a new technology. I had to learn Zoom, and I was a little intimidated by that. However, because of my constant work with SMA for so long, with the things I've been learning in the Elite program, I had already mastered so many platforms. I can't even tell you. I had to learn Shopify. I learned Drip. I learned just tons of stuff, Facebook, advertising, all these different things, that each time I faced any one of these things, I would think, there's no way I can learn that. That's just way too hard. But little by little, I would chip away at it, and I would have the support of so many other people who are also struggling to push past our inner resistance, and I would learn the new skills. So when this happened, I just, a lot of people I think who are in my niche of being a parent-child music offering, I'm like small potatoes. There are a lot of like big corporate entities kind of doing this kind of thing, but mine is really different. But because I was like a solopreneur, while a lot of people were, I think, scrambling to try to figure out, oh my gosh, what am I even going to do? I just got right to work. I pulled like 3 near all-nighters, and I did all those things I learned. I built a landing page, and I knew how to do the copy, and I knew how to do the messaging, and I knew how to do the Facebook advertising. And then here's the most totally amazing thing, was once I figured out that it was really working, in my community out here, because most people were local, because of what I had learned from SMA about ad targeting, all I had to do, I realized there was a potential here, that this could actually serve more people than just my community, that this could serve people even across the country who might also be looking for something to do with their children during this time. It was literally about 3 clicks of a mouse, like just a few little changes in the targeting to change it from targeting my local area to targeting the whole country and even some other countries. Just that instantaneous. And because the messaging was dialed in and the copy was dialed in and the landing page was, as strong as it could be, given that I made it really, really fast. This was like the classic example of launching messy, like don't go for perfection, just like get it up there. Suddenly, then there were people coming from other parts of the country as well. And that's just, it's just been so amazing. Like I work really, really hard. And generally for like every hour of, where I'm getting paid for my time, there's so much time behind the scenes where I'm just working and working and working and trying to dial things in, always experimenting. And so to get kind of swept into this flow of just experiencing like it all kind of flowing, people coming and money coming, all of that was just really amazing. And all of this, and guess what? I didn't even, the pay scale that I did was basically a voluntary donation. I said people could pay a certain amount or they could come for free if they wanted to. And I gave the code to everyone. So it was also accessible to anyone who wanted to come. And even with that, it still ended up being just like so much more viable than any of the in-person offerings that I had done. So that was really amazing, like a win-win-win. Like I get to give a service that is totally in my genius zone, like something I love more than anything, like getting to serve families in this way and also be compensated for that at the same time. You're a musician, so you know how incredible that is when that happens. What I want to talk about now, though, is why was this able to happen for me beyond, and for my brand beyond the skills and the applying of the skills, and it really comes down to this fundamental truth of entrepreneurism. And as musicians, as independent musicians, we are also entrepreneurs. I'm someone who shied away from that term for a long time. I always consider myself, on the spectrum between like left brain and right brain. I always consider myself like a super right brain person, like just I would have always said, I know how to write songs. I know how to make art. I don't have a clue how to do any of the worldly stuff. I would have just really said I didn't even know. But I've come in time, and especially over the course of like having a family and needing to be a provider for my family, to understand that for music to be sustainable for me, it has to support itself. I have to get it to where it can support itself. So I've come to really value learning from Leah, and from others, about entrepreneurism. And here's just this fundamental truth that I know we probably all know, but I just want to reiterate it here. What makes any kind of entrepreneurship successful is that we're seeing a need and responding to a need that is actually there. As artists, we tend to be very motivated by our own vision, like, oh, I see this idea in my head and I just want to make it happen and I'm so excited about it. And we don't always really even ask the question of what's the need for this thing that I'm offering, because we're coming from such a heart-centered place of wanting to share it. But when it comes to an offering really succeeding in the world in terms of bringing in income and gaining momentum with people being interested in it, it's really important that we identify, what's the need. And so I would offer this to you in this moment right now, as you may be figuring out how to ensure the sustainability of what you're doing through this very, very challenging time, and maybe even if you've say maybe other work that you're doing has dissolved, whether it's live gigs or maybe like a day gig, whatever it is, this you have this moment now where there's actually the potential to grow, to grow your music in some significant way. I wanted to offer it might be useful to think about the people in your orbit, and especially your listeners, especially people who you are in your Facebook group with. Maybe you have a Facebook group, maybe just people who are engaging on your page, and ask yourself, what do they need right now that you can give them? What can you offer them that they really need? And then so for my singer songwriter, for my children's brand, it was really simple. People needed entertainment for their children. They needed a way to kind of break up the day, and they needed to feel connected. And my offering was meeting all those needs. And that's why, it was able to really take off the way it did. For my singer songwriter brand, I asked that question too. What do people need from me right now? How can I show up for them? And this answer will really vary by culture, but I encourage you to really think about it. My answer was people needed connection. And because my brand is really based around spirit and nature, and a lot of us are highly sensitive people or empaths, so we have a real need for self-connection and carefully tended spaces to connect with one another. So for my singer-songwriter brand, I thought, what can I offer those folks in this time that would really meet a need for them? And my answer for them was to create a gathering that was thinking a little outside the box. For some of you, it might be a streaming concert. That might be exactly what your listeners need for you. In my case, it was something that incorporated music, but it was actually a virtual gathering with some facilitated discussion and some non-denominational spiritual practice and some different things like that. So once you've thought of your thing, like what is this thing that can really serve your people right now? Another thing that can be really helpful is to just ask the question, how can you monetize that? And we're in a very unusual time, so I ask this from a space of, it was really important to be in integrity with yourself in asking that question. What does it look like to monetize an offering in this time? My answer was, well, I needed to do it. No one turned away. That was important to me. And, some people might do a suggested donation or might do a tip jar. My preferred way is a suggested donation, but then a code that people can actually come for free if they need to, so that it's no one turned away. But even if you're just lightly monetizing whatever it is that you offer, that can really help a lot. And you may find in the case of like I found that even as a suggested donation, it really ended up in both cases actually being more lucrative than like my CD sales had been in recent months. So it was really a gift. The greatest gift was just knowing that I could provide this service for people that I really cared about and do it in a way where no one was turned away. So that's the story of my week. And the one other thing that I wanted to offer is, all these things that I'm talking about, seeing a need and meeting that need, providing some experience or offering that just speaks to your people at this moment in time and gives them what you uniquely have to offer. There's another really important piece, underlying the potential of this to be something that really is really successful. And what that is it's just really a question of like, how deeply are you showing up for your listeners, and how deeply have you been showing up for them over time? Because the success of something, the ability of it to really speak to people and get people involved and want them to, for them to want to join in, whether it's free or no one turned away or paid or anything, it really depends on relationships. It depends on the relationships that you have been cultivating with them for a long time. And my experience has been that the more we show ourselves, and I'm by show ourselves, I mean in a brand aligned way, the more that I really show up as Noe Venable, as the person that people are looking to give them a particular kind of experience, when they come to my page, the more that I show up that way, the more that they begin to show up, and the more that we begin to build a really special, beautiful relationship and community together that's about much more than any kind of commerce. I mean, it's like the deepest stuff in the world, those relationships. So if you're feeling right now ever like you're kind of shouting into the storm, like no one's hearing you, like if you're in a place where you're just feels like you're posting and you're not getting a lot of engagement, then that's the place to like dig in and explore. Because once you crack that and once you figure out how to communicate and what to share and how to make yourself really present in the lives of the people who are listening to your music, when you really figure that out and those relationships start to build, that's when you're really in the position for all of the other things, to come forth that you would want to be able to bring forth. The last thing that I just wanted to share today is that I think as artists in this time, we have truly a sacred calling. Always we have this calling, but especially in times of crisis. I mean, this is an unprecedented moment in time. Our whole world is facing this situation together. And the role of artists is and always has been to hold space for people around whatever we're feeling. When we write a song or we compose a piece of music, we invite someone to be present with their feelings, maybe to even be able to open to feelings that they haven't even been aware of before. Maybe you're someone who writes amazing lyrics, and then you have the potential to actually help someone put words around what they're feeling that they might not have been able to really articulate before. Another role that we have as artists is, we can provide people with a form of escape from our heartache. It's that amazing feeling of listening to a sad song even that makes you feel better just because it feels like it so speaks to your experience. And we can do that through streaming concerts. We can do that through selling our albums. We can do that through Facebook Lives. We can do that simply through, I do a lot of writing for my page, a lot of sharing of thoughts and ideas. I really try to teach and lead and inspire. I've been very inspired by CJ in that regard. He's taught me a lot about that. Just that we can offer so much, even just through our presence. Sometimes it's just even through your picture, and what your picture conveys. So I just want to encourage everyone out there. I want to just say to you, now is the time to step into your power of what it means to be an artist and to truly show up for your listeners and for everyone in your circle and give them that special magic that as artists and as active creators, it is ours to bring and to give. Because really, no one else has the power to, no one else can like knight you to do that. No one else can make you do it. No one else can even really give you the tools to do it. I mean, people can give you the tools, like Leah has given us incredible tools to be able to amplify our message and get out there in a big way and create the systems to make our work sustainable. But at the core of that is you as an artist with your message showing up and throwing down for the people that you most value. And I just want to encourage all of us right now to just step forth and do that, because the world needs that from us so dearly right now. And there's so much that we can do in this time to bring light, to bring hope, to bring joy, to bring strength, to encourage resilience, to encourage stamina, to help others, deepen into their sense of empathy. So I think that is everything that I have to share today. I just also want to say to anyone who has been really deeply affected by this situation, whether through your own physical experience of, whether you've had coronavirus or have seen others that suffering from it, or whether you've lost income, or whether you're experiencing anxiety or fear, or just a feeling like, oh my gosh, everything's changed and I don't know what to do. I just want to say that I hold you in my heart in this time. And I just hold this prayer. May you find all of the inner resources that to take everything that you're struggling with and hold yourself with compassion and rise to the challenges that we face in this moment, because you can do it. If I can do it, if I can turn into someone who is not anymore overwhelmed by lead pages and drip and Shopify and all these things, if I can figure all that stuff out, and I can say, okay, I'm going to really show up right now, and I'm not afraid to be that person who's putting myself out there. If I can do that, you can do it. We can all do it. And we all have something so precious to give. So thank you so much, and wishing you care. And it's been very special to talk to you today. Bye-bye. Thank you.